Hey guys, welcome to the production den. My name is Jeremy. Today I'm going to teach you how to do some basic side chaining in FL Studio. We're going to create a simple drum pattern and a couple of synths, and we're going to bring that into the mixer, and then I'll show you how to side chain those synths to your kick drum so that you can get that pulsing sound that you hear in a lot of music. So let's jump right in. So let's make sure that we're starting at the same place. Let's go up to File, move from Template, and let's go to the Basic. So it's going to start us out. We're going to have a kick, a clap, a hat, and a snare. I don't necessarily like these default sounds, so we're going to go over to the browser window by clicking Alt and F8, and that's going to bring up this menu over here. So we're going to go down to Packs. Excuse me. We're going to go down into Drums Mode Audio, and we're going to pick out a kick, a rim sound, and a hi-hat. And I've kind of pre-gamed this a little bit and figured out some of the ones that I like. So I'm going to come down to here, and I am going to use this Stadium Hop Kick 03. So right click, open new in channel, and then I am going to pick a rim sound, and I have this one I like, so we'll do that. And then I'm going to pick a quick hi-hat sound. So we'll come down here, I'm going to pick this one, right click and new. And you can audition these by just clicking them or using down, up arrows, and all that kind of stuff. So we've got our basic 3 things in here. We're going to click Alt and F8 again. That's going to take away that browser window. And I'm just going to put together a quick beat. I'm in the pattern mode. I'm in 130 BPM. And so let's go ahead and just kind of start working in something here. So we're gonna do this, and this is not super complex. This is just gonna be a basic beat. Let's make sure we got that right. I think we need one more. Yeah. All right, so let's listen to what that is really quick. And this is just the kick and the snare. All right, so we have that in there. The next thing that I want to do is actually map in a hat. And what I'm actually going to do is use my laptop keyboard that I'm working off of to map in that hat by recording it. So the way that we're going to do this is actually go up here and enable your laptop keyboard to become a keyboard. And then we're going to come back down here. We're going to go into the piano roll by right clicking on it and selecting piano roll. Now what I'm going to do is actually just play this. I'm going to use the J key on my keyboard, which ends up being this note, which is a B flat or an A sharp. And I'm going to play that pattern, and I'm just going to kind of tap some notes out with that to find something that I think works well with that. All right, so I have kind of a basic kind of gist of what I want to do here. So I want to make sure that this is highlighted with the count in, and then I'm going to right click on this and make sure that the notes are selected here. So that way I can record whatever it is that I put together. So I'm going to left click on this, and I'm going to map that in really quickly. All right, and I push the space bar to stop that. And then I'm just going to unclick this and listen through really quickly. I think I have a couple things that are a little bit off, so let's listen to that really quickly. All right, so a couple of these were kind of came in a little bit late. So I'm going to unclick this really quickly. I'm going to click Z. I'm going to go down here, and I'm actually going to go back to the pen tool by clicking P. And then I'm going to control and select these. I'm going to hold Alt, and then I'll be able to slide these around just a little bit. And then if I zoom back out, I'll be able to hear the whole pattern. All right, so all I've done is just kind of move those things around. And the way that I did that was when I'm over top of a note, if I hold on Alt, then I can actually just slide that around a little bit to get it a little bit more detailed to make sure that it fits where I want it to fit. So we've created our basic drum pattern. We're going to move on to the synths because this is not about creating a beat. It's just about putting something simple together. So let's go ahead and open up Citrus as our synth. We're going to go down to the presets and we are going to jump into the brass setting and we're going to pick this Greasy 5 or Greasy 2. All right, so then we're going to go into the piano roll. We're going to make sure that we're on a new pattern. We're going to go into our piano roll by right clicking on this and clicking on piano roll. That's going to bring this up. And what we're going to do is shorten this down. I held down Control so that I'm seeing 1, 2, 3, 4. And this is basically the first bar. And so I'm going to create chords that go across these bars. So I'm going to start and develop out these chords really quickly. So I'm going to start with C. If I control and highlight all those really quickly, if I hold down Shift, I can create a chord by dragging it out. And then I'm going to drag this down to A. And then I'm going to control click on this and drag this down, and now it's an A minor. So I've created a copy of my C major chord, dropped it down to A, and made it a minor key by adjusting the third on it. So I'm going to come back here, control, I can shift this, and then I'll bring this over here to, let's say, G. And then I'm going to shift again. I'm going to bring that down to F. So now we have C, A minor, G, and F. So let's listen to that progression really quickly. All right, so now if I control click all of these, control and highlight all of these, and then press Control B, I can create a quick repetition of those chords. It'll just basically make a new setup. If I control click this, if I hit Control and down, it'll actually just bring it down an octave. And so I'm going to do that just to create a little bit of a different texture for some of these chords. And then I'm just going to add in some other notes just to make these a little bit more full. So I'm going to come back in here and whoa. So let's come back here. Let's add in, let's do a 7th on this one. All right, so I have a basic progression here, and we'll just leave it at that. And then we're going to create a sub bass to go along with that. So we're going to left click on this, go down to 3x oscillator. I'm going to leave the presets how it is, and all we're going to do to create the sub bass is actually go into lower octaves to just create those low bass notes. I have my ghost channels turned on, which lets me see what I've put together for these other, for the other synth. And then I'm going to actually just come down here to the lower octave and map in that same C, G, or I'm sorry, C, A, G, and F, and then just kind of follow that pattern for those chords. And then I'll do the same thing. I'll go C, A. I'm actually going to move the A up here, G, and F. So we'll just get a sub bass that kind of moves with those chords a little bit. So let's listen to that really quickly. All right, so now we have our sub bass and we have a synth. Let's just add in one more synth just to give it a little bit of texture. So we're going to come over here and we're going to throw in a GMS. And we are going to just change this to another beast. And then we will right click on this, go into the piano roll, and we're going to just follow this bass line. And all it's going to do is just add a little bit of texture. to what we already have. So let's hear what those three kind of sound like together. All right, so we have our three synths, we have a couple of drum sounds. So let's clean up this channel rack really quickly by taking out some of the ones that we aren't using. So we'll left click on the kick, we'll hold down our shift key, we'll click on the clap, the hat, and the snare. And then we're gonna press Alt and delete, and that'll let us delete those 4 channels. The next thing that we're gonna do is actually group similar instruments together. So I'm gonna group my drums together, and then I'm gonna group my synths together. So let's start with the drums. We'll left click on the first one, shift click on these other 2, then we're gonna press Alt and G. And this, we're gonna call drums. So that puts that together. We drop down here, come back to all. We're gonna left click on this one, shift click on these other 2, press Alt and G, and we're gonna call this one synths. Okay, so now we have our drum group and our synth group, and then everything all together. So now let's double click on this to highlight all of these. We're gonna go into our mixer window. We're gonna click on our first blank one, and we're gonna hit Control, Shift, and L. And that's basically just gonna map all 6 of those different channels into the mixer. And you can see the numbers that are corresponding with each one. If we come over here, we'll see all these together. The next thing that I'm gonna do is click on that first channel, Control and Shift, and click on the next 2. So these 3 are together, and then I'm actually going to create a group within my mixer. You don't have to do this. This is just more for aesthetics and to keep things organized. So I'm going to call this drums, and I'm going to assign it a color blue. And now it's created this drum kind of group here that's all blue, and it's created a little divider right next to it. And we're going to do the same thing over here, clicking on the first channel, and then Control Shift clicking on the other 3. Then we'll right click, we'll click create group, and we're gonna call this one synths. And then we're gonna make it orange or brownish. And then now what I wanna do is actually include another channel into this. So I've left clicked on this channel number 7. I'm gonna hold down shift, and I'm gonna use my scroll wheel to bring it inside this divider. So now that channel is inside this group. I'm gonna right click on it, click change color, click that one so it's the same, excuse me. Now I'm gonna rename it Sidechain. So now we're getting into the place where we're actually going to create the sidechain for all of this. So the first thing that we're gonna do to create this sidechain is take the signal from the kick drum, which is channel 1, so left click on that, right click down here and say sidechain to this track. So the kick drum is now sidechain to the sidechain channel. Now we're gonna left click on Greasy 2, shift control, and click these other 2 synths as well. And then we're gonna right click and say route to this track only. So now Greasy 2, synths, and GMS are all routed just to this sidechain channel. So now what we're gonna do to affect those signals is drop in a limiter down here in the actual effects tab part of it. So we're gonna come over here, grab a fruity limiter. We're gonna click on compressor. We're gonna right click on sidechain, and we're going to put the hyper kick. So now if we play this, we'll see that the synths are all coming in here, and then I'll show you how to adjust the parameters on this limiter so you start getting that pulsing effect. So now, so all of our channels are coming in. I'm actually going to adjust the volumes on some of these really quickly. Let's listen to that. All right, so that's a little bit more balanced. We're gonna go out here to this. We're gonna click off of pattern mode. We're gonna click 1, which is our drum channel. We're gonna map in 4 of these. And we're gonna click on pattern 2, and we're gonna map in 2 of those. So we have this together sounding like this. And you can hear the synths are not affected by the sidechain just yet. So we're going to come back in here and I'll show you how to actually adjust We're going to adjust the threshold and the knee, and then we can mess with the attack and release to kind of adjust the pulsing effect that we're going to get with this. So let's go ahead and play, and I'll show you as I start adjusting this to where we start getting that pulsing effect that's happening with the synths. So let's go ahead and just play it, and now I'll mess with it. So now you got the basic idea. We created a simple drum pattern, we mapped it all into here, we created a simple chord pattern, mapped that all into here, mapped all these things to this sidechain channel, used our kick as our sidechain, and we created that kind of pulsing and pumping effect with the limiter in the mixer. Well guys, I hope that was useful for you guys. I hope you got something out of it. If you have some tips and tricks that you use in the mixer, the piano roll that you'd like to share down below, just leave a comment below. I'd love to have you subscribe to our channel, and I look forward to seeing you next time.